Hello, what's up, Guru Nation? Hope everyone's doing well out there. Welcome into a brand new episode of the Guru Nation podcast where we're going to be doing a mock draft today. That's right, y'all. It's time to mock draft here. The draft coming up in just a few days. We'll be going through the first round, all 32 teams, with a very special guest, Mr. Pigskin Paul, Chief Scout over at the Great Blue North Draft Report. Really glad to have him back on the show this year. We mocked last year, all 32. Feel like we did pretty well, Pigskin. You ready to do this thing again?
Yeah. Well, we'll try, right, Spencer? We'll try to do even better this time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, appreciate Pigskin coming on again. He's with us via the phone line. Got a similar setup to last year where we got the big board here. Actually, this year we got my big board for y'all to see all the prospects listed by position, and then we'll switch back and forth from that to our board with the 32 teams, starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, yeah, Pigskin, we had a good show the other day with Billy. Y'all go check that out, the
Sir.
Sports Note, where we broke down all the prospects. Before we get this thing going, anything you'd like to say about this class as a whole?
I think we've got, let me just say, in my opinion, we've got plenty of talent this time around. It's very deep. If you've got extra picks in the third day of this draft and you need to put some minimum wage but quality employees on your roster, this is a good year to do it. Like the Ravens have 4 picks in round 4, I think it is, or 5 even. But the real thing that's going to mess up the ease of doing this one is the fact that, in my opinion, and most people's, we don't have the sure thing quarterback in this year's draft. We got some decent prospects. A couple of them are going to pan out, no doubt. It's just the way it goes. But Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, they're not in this draft. So that makes it interesting.
Right, most definitely. And none of these quarterbacks strike me as being top half of the first round talents. But the way this thing is, you never know. The teams get desperate and reach, and they got a couple, the 3 up there in the top 10 that could very well crack and do it. But yeah, that's what we're here to do. See where all these guys end up, and they got an interesting class this year, no doubt. A lot of depth, but yeah, the first round. I think that's why the first round is probably gonna be really unpredictable this year. I hope we can do better than last year, but it's gonna be tough being that there's no real clear cut guys.
You're right.
But yeah, without further ado, let's get this thing rolling. And this year, I'm gonna start off and go with the Jags. And it's funny, the Jags have number 1 pick 2 years in a row. We're gonna kick them off this year since the Pigskins team he's in tune with, pretty close to Green Bay Packers, have 22nd and 28th picks, so even numbers. He's gonna take the even numbers. I'll take the odds. We'll kick this off with the Jags. I'm gonna have to go ahead and just do what most people are thinking they're gonna do. I know it's not a shoe in like it normally is for the first pick, being that there's 3 or 4 guys that could possibly fit the mold. But to me, there's one guy that stands out as a guy that's got a pretty stable floor as well as a really high ceiling, and that's Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan, the defensive end there. I think he'll fit in perfect with them across from the other Josh Allen and be a pretty destructive force, something that the Jags defense has been lacking there for a while. Ever since they had to blow it up whenever they had Jalen Ramsey and those guys. So they're trying to rebuild on that side of the ball. Got Trevor Lawrence, obviously a left tackle. Wouldn't be a bad pick if they would go with one of them, but I feel like with the defense kind of lacking that true difference maker there on the front line, especially at defensive end, Hutchinson to me has got to be the pick.
Yeah, and I think what solidifies it and makes it the most likely pick, among other things, is he's a safe pick, at least as far as we know, Spencer. He's got a clean background. He's got the football genes. His dad was a good player at Michigan, and he's got a nonstop motor. he's safe. So, you go with what you know and go with something safe. Okay, so now at pick two, I've got the Lions
Yep.
sitting here,
Yep.
and I don't think they're not going to disrupt things and go for a quarterback. I can guarantee you there. And you look at the talent base, and it's too soon. Even though they need wide receivers, I think it's way too soon with Jamison Williams coming off a knee injury. So I am going to go with the fastest climber in the draft this year, and he's the number two guy on my draft board, and that is Travon Walker. I'm going to say the defensive lineman from Georgia, who everybody thinks will develop into a very, very good edge rusher because of his size and his quickness. But I like the fact that he is big enough at 272 pounds, and he probably could weigh a little bit more once he's not worried about running the 40 for somebody. Um, he could probably play any place along that defensive line, depending on what the down and distance is. He's not going to have to go off the field to bring in an edge rusher because he can go out and fill that job if they want it. So I say the Lions take Travon Walker, defensive lineman from Georgia.
Yeah, I like that, Pigskin. I feel like that's probably the best play for them because while Kayvon Thibodeau probably has more upside, it's definitely more risky. And I feel like with the way they're trying to do things over in Detroit, they're trying to get solid pieces that are going to be building blocks for years to come. And Walker, to me, fits that mold. And the way he's the all around ability kind of reminds me of Cameron Jordan from my Saints. And if he's anything like Cameron Jordan, then I'd say that's definitely worth a top five pick. And the Lions with Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell came from the Saints coaching tree, as well as Aaron Glenn on defense, and they're building it similar to what the Saints were doing under Peyton. And I feel like if they see the similarities like some are thinking, then yeah, they're gonna have to go Walker.
There you go. Good point.
Yes, sir. And now we're on to the Texans, and man, this is where the fun's gonna begin because I'll be real with y'all, I have no idea what the Texans are gonna do here. This is a tough spot because they've got needs everywhere. I mean, they've got needs
everywhere,
all over the roster. They could go in so many different directions here. I feel like though it's down to three guys, and that's Kayvon Thibodeau due to his upside, Ahmad Sauce Gardner due to their need at cornerback, and Evan Neal due to him being just such a beast there and being probably the best player available on most people's boards. So this is a tough one, man. I normally would say Sauce Gardner since corner's such a need for them. But I feel like since they have, so much, just so many needs throughout their roster, I feel like they're just going to go with best player available. And it seems to me that that guy is Evan Neal, being that he's a big dude, but he can also, if needed, I believe, going to move over to guard, with Laramie Tunsil there right now at left tackle. You could either put Neal at left guard or right tackle, and then when Tunsil's over the hill, put him there to be the anchor at that spot. With offensive linemen, stud offensive linemen like that don't grow on trees. And while, like I said, they could go in any of those directions, but considering the new dude over there, I believe his name's Nick Caserio from the Patriots, I think he's going to want to go ahead and just go with BPA, and that's I feel like it's Evan Neal.
There you go. I'll be honest with you, I think they would love to have somebody like the Saints. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think they would love to have somebody like the Saints come in and say, hey, we got 2 picks later in this round. We'll give you those, and we'll give you our number 1 next year to move up. But I don't think the Saints are going to do that. So Caserio, this is a team to watch in the next couple of years if they keep Caserio around as the general manager. I think he had a lot to do with the personnel success in New England, and I think he was a very smart guy and learned a lot under Bill Belichick. So I think for them, and you kind of hinted at it, Spencer, when you were talking about the three guys you thought were the logical ones, and that is, if I'm Houston, I'm listening. First of all, I'm listening for the phone to ring to see if anybody wants to give us extra stuff and move up, or I am just going to take the best available athlete at almost any position because we just need more talent.
Yep.
And we need top quality talent. So I'm with you on that pick. I have no problem with that at all. Now we go to the Jets at number 4.
Yep, they're first of 2 picks in the top 10.
I'm sorry.
I said, yeah, they're first of 2 picks in the top 10.
Correct. Just like their friends across town, the Giants, with 2 picks in the first round. Early in the first round, I might add.
Yep, 5 and 7.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go, even though on my board, Ike Iguanu, the offensive lineman from NC State, is the next guy up. But given what the Jets need, I'm going to give them Kayvon Thibodeau at pick number 4.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I'd recently changed my mock to having Kayvon Thibodeau go there because, yeah, they need a game-wrecking edge rusher there. Robert Saleh, their new coach there, he's a guy that, like, with the 49ers, they got Nick Bosa in there to be that game wrecker, and I think Thibodeau would be able to fill that role because they just straight up don't have that right now. And I know some people are mocking a cornerback there with Sauce Gardner, but they signed DJ Reed this offseason to a fat contract. They didn't sign any edge rushers this offseason, so I feel like with the way the money's going, they invested more in the secondary. That tells me they might, for the draft, want to invest in the front line there.
Yeah.
And about Thibodeau, before we move on to the Giants, do you have any concerns about his character and motivation type thing? That's been a big topic of conversation the past few months.
I do have some concerns. If it's my team, my concern with him is he may end up having the same kind of career that Jadeveon Clowney has had.
Yeah, that's what he's been compared to a lot.
A flash player who can really turn it on, but don't hold your breath that he's going to bust his butt on every down. I think this guy could be just as happy to be an edge player. And, just put me in to rush the passer, and that's all I really want to do. So we'll see what happens. With the Jets, he might be going to the right head coach, though. Saleh's kind of a different cat. And, he's used to being out on the West Coast with that West Coast mindset, Thibodeau being from California.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth the risk. He's certainly not going to be a discipline problem. The question is, how bad does he want it? And once he pockets enough money, will he just kind of walk away? And like Clowney, Clowney, if he doesn't re-sign with the Browns in a 7-year career so far, Clowney could be moving to his 5th team.
Yep. That's just so much talent, but if you're not truly all in, it's like you're not gonna make it as a true all Pro Bowl type talent. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Because I feel like, as a rookie in, like, early years, Thibodeau will be busting his butt. But, when that second contract would come up, how will it be? I don't know. And then also with Clowney, it was the injuries. And, it's a risk. But I think it's one that the Jets kind of have to do, being that he's by far the most talented pass rusher left there at pick 4.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yes, sir. Now on to the New York Giants. Their buddies right next to them there. And it's funny, they have 4 of the top 10 picks, these New York teams. And they need it because, boy, they were both some trash last year. They've been bad.
Yeah.
They have been bad for a while. And a lot of that has to do with quarterback play, but they both still have quarterbacks on rookie contracts. So this year, I feel like their mission is to just, continue to build around those guys and see what they can do. And if they stink, well, try someone else next year. I feel like it's too premature for them to take a quarterback. Although the Giants, I mean, no one mentions them as a quarterback team, but Daniel Jones has been around a few years now. So I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not expecting it by any means, because then they have needs everywhere else. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
It's
like,
but you got to remember, Spence. You can't fix. Fans have to be patient, and so do the personnel people.
mm-hmm.
Chances are you can't fix everything in one draft. Just
Exactly,
doesn't happen.
exactly. Yep, and they have a lot of things to fix. I tell you what, considering that none of these quarterbacks are really top 10 talents, I'm gonna go ahead and give the Giants Ike Ekonwu.
There you
Offensive
go.
line reinforcement, being about that probably the best player available at this point, and just somebody that is going to fit in there well, because they need help there big time. They
Oh
drafted
yeah.
Andrew Thomas a couple years back, but now Nate Solder, who was their left tackle, he's done, I believe. I think he's a free agent type thing. I don't
Yeah,
think he's
and
coming back.
nobody's going to sign him probably.
Exactly. Yeah, he's over the hill. And so
Yep.
they'd have a big need there at right tackle. They also have secondary issues, but they should be able to address that with pick 7. So yeah, give me Ike Egonwu. And because in this version, Evan Neal's gone, and so to me the decision's really easy. If Neal's gone here, I think they'll have their card ready to get to Commissioner Goodell in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. I would tend to think that way too.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, I feel like that
Okay.
one's pretty cut and dry. So let's move on to the Carolina Panthers at pick 6.
Now this one gets touchy,
Yes.
and we discussed this with Billy on Saturday on the radio show. The catch here is you've got a billionaire owner, and I think he's only owned them like 3 years now,
Yeah.
and an awful lot of people seem to think that Matt Rule, who was the choice to run this franchise as the ownership was changing, um, is really on the hot seat. And
Oh
they
yeah.
thought they were
Hottest
they
seat in
thought
the
they
league, probably.
yeah they thought they were going to solve it with Matt Darnold. They're on the hook this year
Oh
to
yeah, yeah.
keep him.
Sammy D. Yep, Sam Darnold. That
Yeah,
didn't work.
and at $18.5 million. Um, but so there is some pressure here from the owner, is what I'm hearing, and so are a lot of other people hearing, that he wants a quarterback here. And I personally think Matt Rule doesn't want to draft a quarterback at this stage of the game, because he knows that chances are 50-50 at best that he's going to get somebody that's any better than Matt Darnold to bring in, at least this year. So I'm going to say that Matt Rule girds his loins and says, I'm taking the guy I want. And they go out and they grab Sauce Gardner, the cornerback from Cincinnati.
Cool.
Um,
Sauce goes at pick 6. Wow.
yeah, well, he is the best cornerback in college football.
Yep.
He also, I think the one telling stat is, he started for 3.5 seasons for them. During his college career at Cincinnati, he has never allowed a touchdown pass for the man he's covering. Never
Wow.
in
Yeah,
four
he's a true
years.
lockdown there. Yep, and I bet the Giants, if this was real life, they'd be pissed off, because I feel like at pick 7, that'd be their ideal target.
Well, it could be, but again, they need so much that get something else instead. But
Mm-hmm.
I think again, it's a need pick, in the sense that you got to remember they put their eggs in the basket last year,
Yeah, so they had J.C.
and
Horn.
and they traded for Stephon Gilmore
Yeah, that didn't
too.
work out. He's already with the Colts.
Exactly. So you
Yep, and
look at
also
their
C.J.
cornerback.
Henderson from the Jags.
Yeah. Yep. So, yes, I would say to you, no doubt in my mind, I would, Matt Rule isn't going to be any favor if this happens. Isn't going to be any kind of favorite with the personnel department of the New York Giants, because I'm sure that they would have taken Sauce Gardner. But I say Matt Rule says, hey, if I grab a quarterback either Pickett, who's a graduate from where their owner graduated at Pittsburgh, um, or Malik Willis. Neither one of those guys is going to be ready to lead this team to big things anytime soon. So chances are decent that Matt Rule might get fired at the end of this year anyway. So go stick with your guns, Matt, and go for the best player that'll help your team the most, and it's Sauce Gardner, in my opinion, right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, he will definitely be a him, J.C. Horn, and that. You don't want to mess with that secondary. That'd be a hell of a secondary. The other pick that I feel like would maybe be possible there, they need left tackle badly. They need like Charles Cross possibly.
I thought of that. Yeah, I thought of that. I did think of that.
For sure, yeah, because he's a guy that he'll probably be going here soon. And yeah, it's I feel like with Carolina, it'll either be, yeah, it's got to be, yeah. I think Sauce would be the flashy pick for sure, and it could maybe they'll do it. He'd probably be the BPA at that point. But then I feel like their biggest needs though would be Cross, and then of course the quarterback. But yeah, I see your point. I mean, Matt Rule, I don't think he wants to admit that he's the hottest seat in the league, and I feel like by taking a quarterback, that's kind of admitting that. Where I feel like the chance he might just play it cool and not take one, and that honestly would probably be the best route because to me a quarterback at 6 kind of reeks of desperation.
Yeah, well, you know what? The other side of that is I don't remember how many years are left on his contract, but
that doesn't even matter anymore these days. These owners have so much money.
Him, he's going to get paid for at least a year or two, and then he can go back and coach college football.
Yeah, which is where I think he belongs, honestly. I don't think he's really cut out to be NFL coach so far. He's not done well at all, but maybe he'll prove me wrong this year. I hope not. As a division rival, I hope they stay terrible.
Yes, exactly. You don't want him to get too good, Spence.
Not at all. Yep. They need Christian McCaffrey on the field. I mean, that's the.
Yes.
I mean, the past couple of years, they start off hot, but then he gets hurt, and their whole season goes to crap. But anyway, enough Panthers talk. Let's move on now to the next Giants pick here at pick 7, and yeah, I'm kind of having to regroup here as playing the Giants GM role here. I'm like, damn it, man! I mean, they just drafted a quarterback last year. What the f, man? We had Sauce. That was our guy. So you know what? We're gonna pivot here and address the secondary, but not with a quarterback though, because the last time we took a diva from LSU, Odell Beckham, it didn't really work out after the first couple years. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and take the safety from Notre Dame, Mr. Kyle Hamilton. And I feel like with that, he's a guy that, yeah, doesn't really have a true position, but he's such a great athlete, arguably the top athlete in this class. They're gonna find a way for him to get on the field. He's too good to not find a path there. And they have needs everywhere. The Giants are one of those teams that could literally use everything. They need help everywhere. Hell, they might plug him in at linebacker at times. He's just, I
think that's a high possibility.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be a good fit for a team like the Giants, a team that's just kind of, it's a new regime over there at Brian Dable. Yep. They're just trying to get established, and, a guy like Hamilton they need flexibility, and that, yeah, I feel like that'd be a good match there.
Yep, I like that. I like your thinking, boy.
Yep, yeah, we'll see if the Giants actually go through with that, because I feel like
we know that isn't going to happen.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, their fan base I think would be pretty pleased with Ike Ekwonu and Kyle Hamilton, but they might end up screwing the pooch.
when they're 2-4, the fans are still going to be booing.
Oh, what? Yeah, them and the Jets, man. It never changes. But anyway, let's move on to the ATL, Atlanta Falcons, here at pick 8.
And a team that needs everything.
Yep, another one that needs everything. So many of these teams picking up here are just in shambles.
Yeah. And because of that, Spencer, I'm going to say put a star beside Atlanta, because they are going to also be a team, in my opinion, that will be glad to accept phone calls to see if they can trade back and pick up. Well, again, I'm not saying that they and the Falcons and the Saints are going to do any kind of business.
Oh, no.
But let's just use an example though. If you're talking about the eighth pick in this draft, and then you're talking about the Saints sitting there in the middle of this round with two picks, okay, you know, I would talk to the Saints if they wanted to come up here for something, and I'd still get two top 20 picks. So since we can't do that because we start doing that and it gets totally insane.
I mean, yeah, we
Um,
can if you want. We can do trades.
well, I don't.
Okay, yeah, I normally
Pigskin
don't
does,
either.
Pigskin does it because it gets crazy enough without that.
For real.
So I do not think that there's a game plan in place in the Falcons front office right now that they're going to snatch up a quarterback. Okay, I think they recognize that the savior for their franchise at quarterback is not here right now. They've got a couple of years of rebuilding to do if they do it all right. And I'm going to say one of the ways to do it right, it's really tempting to consider one of the Ohio State wide receivers at this position. But I'm going to pass on that because I think they really need some help over on that defense with an edge rusher. And you know what? In my opinion, there's still one more elite edge rusher out there, and it's Jermaine Johnson.
Ooh, spicy,
from,
Jermaine
from,
Johnson.
from Florida State and formerly from Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they can find multiple ways to use him. He's got a good attitude. As bad as Florida State was last year, he never quit on that team.
Mm-hmm.
He was there to show what he could do, and he couldn't show that in Georgia because they were three deep everywhere, especially up front. So I think Jermaine Johnson is a good all-around player. Personally, if I'm the Falcons, I would say to him, Jermaine, we need you to be a full-time defensive end. So we know you'll still give us pass rush, but why don't you put on 10 pounds and weigh 270? Because we want you to be at the end of a four-man line, and we'll cut you loose on third and long to be the edge rush designee. But that's who I want for the Falcons right now.
Yeah, they definitely need a lot of help on defense. Need help on both sides. But yeah, last year their problem was their defense. I mean, their offense was
Yes.
at least like mid pack with Matt Ryan. I mean, that's probably gonna plummet this year. But that's a rebuild. They need help everywhere. So yeah, I could very well see them doing that. And honestly, that's probably the smarter play. But like old Kyle had said on the show Saturday, they might want something there to sell tickets. And I feel like if they don't draft a quarterback there, they're gonna have trouble putting butts in those seats.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I think that's overrated. You got a fairly new stadium. I think the owner Arthur Blank is pretty popular with the fan base, and I think if they just spin it right after the draft is over, and basically, hey, just tell it like it is. In a case like this, if they prove you wrong, so be it. Everybody will forget it anyway.
Yeah.
But, there isn't a quarterback in this draft that's worth a top 10 pick, and I'm not wasting mine. We got some guys coming next year. I think there'll be three guys minimum in the top 10 next year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
one of these guys, Malik Willis and Pickett, neither one of those guys is going to turn this team into a winner this season. Ain't happening.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Atlanta. Yep. I feel like while they could crack, if they're smart, which they got a former Saints executive there running the show, Terry Fontenot, and with the Saints obviously they had Drew Brees, but the Saints, never would take an early quarterback. So yeah, I'm thinking they're. I don't know what they're gonna do. Honestly, they could go either way. I could see either way for Atlanta. Maybe it's the Saints fan in me wanting them to take the quarterback. I kind of hope Carolina goes Pickett and they go Willis, but I don't know. Your version has them beefing up their defense, so I kind of hope from my selfish standpoint, I hope my version's right. But as far as their fans are probably hoping, their smart fans anyway, are rooting for your version.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
There you go.
yes, sir. Let's keep it moving here with the Seahawks. And I tell you what, Pigskin, you're convincing me more and more that these quarterbacks ain't it. So I'm gonna keep that going here, and we're gonna keep them falling. Let's go with here to pick 9, Mr. Charles Cross to the Seahawks because they
Yeah.
really need a left tackle. Dwayne Brown, the old guy, is still a free agent. Yeah, he was good last year, made the Pro Bowl, but he's like 37 years old. That guy's
Yes,
not
he
your
is.
franchise
Yes, he
left
is.
tackle by any means, as evidenced by the
Yeah.
fact he's still a free agent. So, yeah, he
Yeah.
might be contemplating retirement for all we know. So, and if he would
There
hang
you
it up,
go. There you
then
go. Spencer, that's exactly the same pick I made in a mock draft I did last week. And my comment at the time, and my comment with you picking him is, I think it's a good move in the big scheme of things. But isn't it ironic that, if they'd have done something like bring in a top-notch guy like Cross a couple of years ago, maybe Russell Wilson wouldn't have been flapping his gums and he'd still be the quarterback in Seattle.
that's a great point. Yeah, they kind of screwed the pooch there by not really
Yeah,
addressing the
they
O
never took
line.
care of him.
Yeah, well, I
You
feel
know,
like they need to learn from that, and they've got to start protecting their guys, because if not, they're not gonna be able to keep anybody around over there.
exactly.
Yep, and Cross checks all the boxes. A really good. He's the one that's the best run blocker in the class, right?
Yeah,
And that in Pete
yeah.
Carroll,
No,
they love to run the ball in Seattle, so I
well,
think he's a
actually, no.
perfect fit.
Actually, Cross is the pass blocker.
Oh, pass
He
blocker. Okay, well
he
that
gave
works
up.
too. I mean, they need time to throw. They have one
Well,
of the worst pass blocking
it's
lines
not
in
that
the
he
league.
can't run block. I think he'll be fine. You know, but no. The key with him is last year in 300 plus pass attempts, he gave up one sack. One sack.
Wow, yeah, that's that is first class stuff, and he's an SEC guy, Mississippi State, so he was going up
Yep,
against some of the best in the country.
you got it, my friend.
Yep. On to the Jets' second pick, which was via Seattle. Seattle's the pick 9 there was from Denver, thanks to the Russ trade. So he got the
Yep.
Jets going with their second pick of
Well,
round one.
I hear a lot of people talking about Stingley or Sauce if he'd still been there when they picked. Um, but you know what? The Jets took 3 cornerbacks last year in the draft.
Yep, and
Now,
signed the
not
DJ Reed dude this offseason from the Seahawks.
right, and the other catch is that none of those cornerbacks they took came until day 3 of the draft, round 4 and later. Okay, but the point is, do they really? I'm not convinced that management really thinks they have to have an elite cornerback. They don't need the next Darrell Revis unless they get lucky. They'll take him, but they don't need that. Um, I think what I feel like today. Talk to me Monday, and I'll tell you something different. Okay, but as of today, what I feel like is the Jets. The Jets need to have a good draft, but they're still not going to be a playoff team this year, even if they do.
Right, yeah, the
Okay.
AFC's too loaded.
Yep. Now, the thing that I see really being missing, and again, we're trying to take care of Zach Wilson, a high draft pick, quarterback prospect. With you having taken Cross, I would have grabbed him for the Jets. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin it a little bit, and I'm going to say, what the Jets could also really use for a quarterback like Zach Wilson is a full-sized, really fast receiver.
Yes.
They got more from Ole Miss last year, and he's a nice little
Yeah, I
slot
like
guy.
him. Yeah.
He's quick.
Elijah
I'm gonna
Moore. Yeah.
I'm gonna go, even though he won't be able to play immediately. I'm gonna say the Jets at 10 take Jamison Williams
Ooh,
from Alabama.
Jameson, the deep ball specialist.
Take the top off the secondary.
Yep.
They say that had he not, I've heard this multiple places, and of course it's cheap bar talk because there's no way to judge it. But had he not hurt his knee in the championship game, I have heard, Spencer, that they thought there was a good chance Jameson Williams was going to hit a 4.2 something at the combine in the 40-yard dash.
Yikes, man, that is
Okay,
that's serious
and
speed there.
he may not weigh a lot, but he's 6'2".
Yeah, that's like generationally fast speed as far as someone
Yes.
that big. Like that's
So
wow. I didn't realize he was that
I'm
fast.
gonna say
Okay, well I might change my. Go ahead.
the Jets can hold on until midseason for him to get 100% healthy and get him at his prime, and I think they'll be happy for another 4 or 5 years.
Yep, and I think yeah he'd be a good fit there now that I'm thinking about it because they don't really have a guy like that. They've got Elijah Moore who's more the over the middle slot guy. Then they got Corey Davis who's a decent X
Yeah,
receiver, but he's not a speed burner type like
right.
Jameson. So yeah, that's really all they're missing there as far as their receiving core. So that would do the trick. And I tell you what, if he's that, I mean, yeah, coming off the ACL, that's why I'm nervous about him. And his route tree is a little one dimensional. It seemed like as far as
Yeah.
being that top off the defense type. But yeah, a team like the Jets that can afford to let him basically have a red shirt year, that would make sense. So
All
next
right.
up, the
Let's go, Mr. Washington Commander.
yeah, I get
I
stuck with
hate that
them.
nickname. I am going to
Oh, it's
continue to
pitiful.
call them the Washington football team.
I know,
Okay.
right? Yeah, I've heard people still call them that. I guess because the commander name is just such garbage. Hopefully they
I
get Daniel Snyder out of there, but that's a, that's a conversation for another
yeah,
day.
that's well. Never mind. I'm not gonna go into politics. Go ahead, make a
Yeah,
pick,
yeah. Let's
Studs.
let's let's get this
Get me
pick
out of
in.
trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you what, they need a receiver too, and man, this is tough because they could go a couple different directions here. I'm trying to think which one would be the best fit for them. Um, shoot, man, this is tough. This is tough. This is tough. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and give them. He's the big body, same colors that maroon and gold. Won't have any difference there as far as his uni. And he's a guy that he's another one with health concerns. But if he is 100%, I think he's the best receiver in this class, and that's Mr. Drake London
There
from
you go.
USC. I think they'll take the risk there with him. The Ohio State guys are tempting, but I think with a guy with the ceiling of Drake London, that's just too good to pass up.
Yeah, I'm with you, Spence, and I think a big part of it is because you're right on. They don't have a really quality big guy.
Right, yeah, McLaurin's, I mean, he's solid, but he ain't big like Drake London.
Right? No, he's not even close. He's fast. He's a great hard worker. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
he was an
Drake.
Ohio State guy. Yeah, but
Yes, he was.
yes,
Yep,
I
he
feel like
was.
London would be a better compliment to him.
Yeah, there you go. I do too. I think you nailed that one, buddy.
Good deal, good deal. Well, let's leave it at that and move on to the Vikings. Who you got them going with at pick
Okay.
12?
This one is hard in the sense that they've had everything change in the front office. They let Spielman go as the general manager. They let Zimmer go as the head coach. So it's an unknown exactly what they're doing and what they're looking for. And I am torn between three three places to help them. Wide receiver, where you still got the two Ohio State wide receivers out there, because they're really great with their two starting receivers. But who's their number three guy? Who's their number four guy?
Yeah, they had a
Who they
dude
got?
come
What?
on down the stretch last year, KJ Osborne.
Yeah, and he's not terrible, but he's on that team because of his return skills primarily.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my maybe I should go there. Then I look at cornerback because I tell you what, in my opinion, the Arizona Cardinals looked like geniuses a couple seasons ago when they just said, you know what, Patrick Peterson, you've been great for us for 7 years, but between injuries and other things, you're already past your prime.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you know, the Vikings just re-signed him for a 1 year modest see what you can do contract. So I think they need a cornerback as well, and I think they also Devin Lloyd, the top linebacker in this draft class, is still out there, and they're not exactly overwhelmed with talent at the linebacker position. So I'm going to pass on Stingley, and I'm going to say with pick 12, the Vikings select linebacker Devin Lloyd from Utah.
Interesting, Devin Lloyd. Yeah, this is probably the highest I've seen Lloyd go in a while. He had seemed like was his stock had risen there for a while, but then it seemed like it's fallen some lately. But yeah, the Vikings, they're a team that has a lot of needs, and especially on defense, kind of rebranding things with Zimmer out of there, and yeah, Anthony Barr. I feel like Lloyd would fit in perfectly as an
Well,
Anthony
but
Barr
I don't think he's going
replacement.
to be there. I don't think he's going to be there, Spence, which is part of my thinking here.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
Is
saying. He'll be the Anthony Barr replacement.
Barr? Yeah, Barr is Barr's a free agent. They
Right,
still
right.
haven't been able to sign him,
Mhm.
and I think it's purely a case of since they're making all these changes, I think Ziggy Wolf and his sons would just as soon keep their team comfortably under the salary cap and go with the young guys and don't break the bank to bring back Patrick Peterson and Anthony Barr and guys like that.
Exactly. Yep, yep. So yeah, Lloyd would be a good fit there. But I tell you what, if I'm the Houston Texans there at pick 13, I'm smiling from ear to ear because we just had a super talented player fall to us here at pick 13. We addressed offense with pick 3. Now it's time to address the defense with pick 13. We need a lockdown corner, and that's Mr. Derek Stingley Jr. I mean, I know
Okay.
he's been a little unreliable as far as availability these past couple years, but he showed his freshman year when he's out there, he's as good as they get. Shutdown corner, not he's DBU whatever you want to call it. He's a guy that when he's 100%, you're not good. He's like he's up there with Sauce Gardner. He's a guy that it's gonna be hard to complete passes on him, and they don't have any sort of shutdown corner presence over there. So as long as he's buying in to what they're selling, then to me that's a steal at pick 13.
Yeah. No, he's Pigskin is a big believer in the gene tree,
Yeah, his
and
dad
when
was a
you've
stud.
got and granddad, you
Mm,
know, granddad was Daryl Stingley, the guy that got blown up and was paralyzed and had to retire.
oh wow.
That was the grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking he's third generation of NFL player. Daryl Stingley, the grandfather, was a first round wide receiver out of Purdue
Yep.
that the Patriots took. So I'm with you on the athleticism. Absolutely. Um, and you roll the dice once in a while. You just have to.
Yeah, I mean he's just too good to pass up there at 13. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just I feel like he good chance he'll be going before then, but in the way this thing's going, have some twists and turns along the way, and yeah, that could if I'm the Texans, like I said, I'm smiling from ear to ear because that's somebody that they if they can get him in there and in the building all in, I think he'll be motivated being that he's got a lot of haters these past couple years. Stingley, he's unavailable, he's selfish, blah blah blah. I feel like it's should have built up a little chip there to where he'll be ready to go.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, Baltimore at 14.
Yep, where did the Ravens go?
I'll tell you what, I have changed my mind about 16 times, I think, in the last, since the combine, Spencer, when it comes to who are the Ravens going to take, because they really do need an infusion of young talent that'll step up and get the job done. Surprisingly, an area that has really gotten thin for them, mainly because their guys have gotten old together. And now you got a bunch of defensive linemen, not edge rushers, defensive linemen who are all between the ages of 29 and I think Calais Campbell's 35. Okay. But even like Brandon Williams, their big nose tackle, he's 31 years old now.
Right, right. Yeah, they need some
They're
youth.
getting up there. So for the team, let me ask you. You're going to be able to guess who I'm going to take here, Spencer, because I'm going to say to you, for a team who has a tradition of monstrous, big offensive and defensive linemen like Haloti Nada and Calais Campbell, who do
Yeah.
you think I'm going to plug in on that defensive line for the Baltimore Ravens right here?
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this one,
Where am I going?
Mr.
Go
Jordan
ahead.
Davis.
You got it, buddy. The 341-pounder that can still run 4.7 something in the 40-yard dash. Um, I think he will clean up a couple of veterans that they probably would just as soon cut after the draft is over and not have to pay, because we're at the stage in the NFL. I think it's by the time the guy's a 3-year veteran, maybe it's 4 years, Spencer, the minimum salary is over $1 million a year.
Yep. Yeah.
And the way you can play with bonus money in the middle of the first round, you can draft Davis and you give him most of his money as a bonus, and they'll spread that out over a 4-year contract, and he'll be making less money than Brandon Williams and a couple of other guys, and he'll be fresh blood 20, 21, 22-year-old big old hunk of meat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they need that. Yeah, they could use that for sure. They brought back Calais Campbell, but yeah, he's not getting any younger. Probably just be there for the next year type thing. And yeah, Williams getting up there. So yeah, that could work. I've seen a lot of mocks having them going with edge or cornerback, but think about it, they tend to like going with the middle of the trenches there. They've never really replaced Haloti Nada. They've never had
Exactly.
anyone, and yeah, that could be their guy.
They tried with Calais Campbell, but he's really an outside guy.
Yeah, he's more like the three technique defensive end.
Yes.
He's not really a defensive tackle.
Yep.
Good deal. Yeah, I like that. I could very well see it. So now we move on to the Philadelphia Eagles, their first pick of the first round. So many teams with multiple picks. It's crazy. They had all the flurry of activity this offseason. So to me, there's two guys that are really, and they'll be hoping to get both of these guys. But I feel like probably the more pressing need for them here is, oh man, this is tough. This is tough. Oh yeah. You know what? I tell you what. I think they're gonna go ahead and snipe the Saints right here, because I feel like the Saints at pick 16 would be like, oh, they'd be singing their high praises, hallelujah, if Garrett Wilson would fall to them. But as much as I'd like that for my Saints, I don't see it happening. I see Philly scooping him up here, Mr. Garrett Wilson, being that outside of Devontae Smith, they don't have any reliable wide receivers.
Well, you know what? I can't argue with that. My comment had been, and maybe this will happen next time around, my comment has been for months now, man, I think Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa, is a perfect pick for the Eagles, because darn well this is Jason Kelsey's last season as the center of the Eagles. And Linderbaum's the exact same kind of player. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, well, maybe you could give him Linderbaum at 18, because we'll have them coming up soon. Now we got my Saints, so you're going to give my Saints at 16.
Well,
I think I know where you're going, but go ahead.
I did them a favor with my Baltimore pick, didn't I?
Yeah, you sure did. Because if your team mocks any indication, y'all make sure to go check out Pigskin Paul's team mock draft series over on the Great Blue North Draft Report. His guy he's got to my Saints I feel like is a perfect fit here.
Okay. Yes, I think we're on the same wavelength.
Big boy, 6'8".
With pick 16, the Saints take care of their left tackle with Trevor Penning.
Yes, sir. Trevor Penning, big old boy, corn-fed, 6'8", tough.
Nasty
yes.
Old boy.
Yes. That's what we need, man. That's what we need.
So, and he's good. I really think that if it weren't left tackle, I'd say he starts immediately for sure. But I still think he's gonna start for sure because basically last time I looked at the depth chart, Spencer, you're gonna there's at least on paper they've got James Hurst starting at left tackle. I really believe he's a nice versatile backup offensive lineman, but
Right, yeah.
Trevor Penning I think can beat him out.
Definitely. Yeah, I like Hurst. He's quality depth. He was quality depth for Baltimore, and then we signed him over. And he's done quite well. Had to make a lot of spot starts last year. But yeah, hopefully Penning can beat him out and be that every game starter. Because as good as Teron Armstead was, the fact was he was very injury prone. And that's not something you want in your
Yep.
left tackle. You want your left tackle to be out there all 17 games. And Penning, hopefully, he'll do that because he's a guy that, if he lives up to his ceiling, he'll be a franchise guy.
Yep.
Yes,
You got
indeed.
that right.
Yep. Now we've got the Chargers at pick 17. Before we move on to them, let's take a little halftime break here and take a look
Okay.
at. I'll kind of review the board for everybody. We'll look at the big board here. Start on offense, quarterbacks. Y'all might think we're crazy, but I think this could very well happen. The quarterbacks are slipping. So far, no quarterbacks have been selected in the top 16. That'll be that'll be interesting. I think there's a
I
chance though because those guys are just not it, man. They're just not franchise guys in my
There
opinion.
you go. There you go, Spencer. My comment is if there's no quarterbacks taken, it means that a whole lot of NFL general managers are using their brain, not their gut and their nerves.
Yep. And so
Because they're
far,
not there. There's no sure things. They
yep.
aren't there.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like we've been trying our best to use our brains here in this mock. So yeah, we're doing
Is that what I smell?
right. Yes, indeed. And also no running backs. Brees Hall, the top of the class there, but I think day two would be best suited for them. But maybe later in the first we could see one
It could
go. But
be. It could be. There's a couple of guys late that I think, I really like Brees Hall, and he could clearly upgrade half the teams in the NFL at the running back position.
exactly. And in the receiver position, only three off the board so far: Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Jamison Williams. Have a feeling we'll see at least two or three more of them fly off the board here soon.
Oh yes, I think so.
Yep. And then tight ends, nobody worth taking in
No.
round one. Offensive tackles, we've got four, the big four off the board right now: Evan Neal, Ike Ekonwu, Charles Cross, and Trevor Penning. Interior linemen all still out there. Have a few guys like Tyler Linderbaum, Zion Johnson that could go here soon. Defensive ends: Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Trayvon Walker, and Jermaine Johnson, all taken, as well as Jordan Davis at defensive tackle. Linebackers, just one gone, Devin Lloyd. Corners, only two. Sauce
Yeah.
Gardner and Derek Stingley. Not a big cornerback run so far. And then safeties, just Kyle Hamilton. A lot of talent still
Yeah.
out there, Pigskin.
I think. Well, yeah. Exactly, but I thought, personally, obviously, I'm picking half of these, and you're doing the other. But I think we got the right guys. Just we may match them up with the wrong teams sometimes
Yeah.
here. But as let me put it to you this way: on my big board, which is basically just a computer list, we've made 16 picks, and all 16 of those guys are my top 16 players.
Wow. Man, we're thinking alike here. So yeah, we'll see how
Yeah,
it. If these
yeah.
teams, that's the thing. Sometimes these teams think different. You never know what they might pull out of
Oh
their
yeah.
hats.
Oh yeah. Exactly. And we're getting into the territory now. I think where you get into the second half of the first round, and if again, I'm not going to do it. We can, but I would not be surprised if we didn't get a few trades in the second half of the first round next Thursday night.
Oh yeah, and that'll throw everything off if that
Yes.
starts going down. But yeah, let's get back into it here. The second half
Okay.
of the first round here kicked off with the Los Angeles Chargers, and man, the Chargers are in a tad bit of a tough spot here because you could go defense, but they've invested in the defense so much this all season. I think they'll probably pass on that. I feel like their biggest need is along the offensive line. Got to keep Justin Herbert protected. They drafted a big tackle last year in Rashawn Slater, so I'm thinking this year they go ahead and address the interior of that line and go with the best available guard, and that's Zion Johnson from Boston College.
Okay, okay. Hey, I like that thinking. I like that thinking.
Yep, since they lost out on Penning, they get the next
Yeah,
best thing as far as the O line.
yeah. I know. I like that. Um, and you know, everything that I have seen live, I'll tell you what, he was very impressive at the Senior Bowl. And everything about him. Um, Second day of practice, one of the centers got hurt, and they had only been able to come up with two natural centers for the Senior Bowl game, which isn't enough for two teams. And they went to Zion Johnson, who played, whose natural position is guard, and he played that as a freshman, sophomore, and a senior. He played left tackle as a junior because somebody got hurt and they needed him out there. They went to him, and he said, sure. And every practice would get done, and Zion Johnson would be out on the field with one of the coaches practicing snaps as a center.
Wow, he can play
He's
everywhere then. Real
he,
versatile, it
and
sounds
he's got
like.
a great attitude, Spencer. That's to me, that's and they say you get him in the offensive line meeting room, and he's the smartest guy there, up on the board. So
Yep.
I think that's a very good pick. And if I don't know how much longer Corey Linsley. He's 30 now, and he's undersized. Something happens to him as center, you could just slide Zion over there. But you got to protect Herbert. He's the franchise. I like this
Exactly.
pick, buddy.
Yeah, if I'm a Chargers fan, I'm liking it too because yeah, you need help there. Their guard play right now is looking weak. So moving on now to 18, a Philadelphia Eagles second selection via my Saints.
Yes. Um, you had him take a wide receiver, so I'm sure as heck not going to double up on that. Um, uh, I was a naughty boy and I snapped up Jordan Davis because I think they would this couple of their guys along that defensive line are getting up there in years, and they're going to have to do something in the near future. Um, they certainly can use a bunch of things, and I'm going to say, throw my hands up here and say, let me give them the best defensive back that's out there. They're not exactly dynamic at the cornerback position. How about we give them Kaiir Elam, the cornerback from the University of Florida, 6'2", nice long arms. I forgot what his 40 time is, but I know it was pretty darn good. Um, so let's do the Kaiir Elam. I'm thumbing through here as quick as I can. Where was his 40 time? His 40 time was 4.38,
That's solid.
and that's plenty quick enough and fast enough. So Kaiir Allen, the
Yeah,
cornerback, Elam, I'm sorry,
yeah,
from
Elam, yeah, from
Florida.
Florida. Yeah, he's interesting. He's somebody that I've seen him go in the first. Other than I see him go in the second, but he's an SEC corner that, if I'm remembering right, he's the only one that was able to contain Jamison Williams.
You might be right on that one. You could be right on that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when we had earlier in the week, we had a scouting episode with a buddy of mine, Devin Jackson. Big shout out to him from NOLA.com, who's a film junkie. And he was pretty sure he had made a point at it. He was like, yeah, Elam's got a lot of upside. He was like the only guy that somewhat shut down Jamison last year.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of the lists have the boy from Washington ranked over in McDuffie. But I feel like Elam, if you're going for upsides, probably the top choice there.
Yes, yep. That's what I'm banking on. I agree with you. McDuffie may be more fundamentally sound, but Elam is one of those, again, typical Florida defensive back. Some of them crash and burn, and some of them excel because they're all excellent athletes. And then it becomes, you know, a head case in some issue. Some of these guys think they're hot shots, and NFL, you probably flame out if you're too big of a hot shot.
Exactly. Man, I can't wait to make this pick for my Saints because this is a guy I've been
All
pounding the
right.
table for a while now. Chris Olave from Ohio State.
There you go.
Get us our compliment there, Mike Thomas. It needs a compliment. You know, both Ohio State guys. I feel like I know Mike's had his issues recently, but I think he's got his head in the right place and he'll be a good mentor figure for Olave. And Olave's a beast, man. He does it all, can run all the routes really fast, and just I feel like it's just the perfect fit here. There's nothing more I can say. I will be doing
like
a lot of dancing if Olave gets picked by us.
I would be too. You know, let me put it this way: my guys are coming up in a couple more picks up in Green Bay, and I'll tell you what. If Chris Olave was still there when they were picking, I'd be jumping on that like a dog in heat.
Right? Oh, well, yeah, they need it. They dog in heat. They as far as needing a receiver, they're like a dog that's needing a partner there for sure. Because yeah, their receiving room is trash.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, but anyway, yeah, that'll be our little teaser for that one. Let's move on now to the Pittsburgh Steelers here at pick 20, and I feel like they got to do it, Pigskin.
Well, I agree. The question is who.
There's two available. There's two ones that are,
well, they're all available.
Well, yeah, I know. It's just did they take the upside scrambler or the local kid that's probably safer?
Well, I'll tell you what. I hear you there, but when I look at Pickett, okay, here's my problem. I don't see any upside.
Yeah. The game, Alex Smith. That's what I see.
He's been at Pittsburgh for 5 seasons, and he finally put a good year together. God bless him, but it took him 4 years to generate the season that he had last season.
Yeah.
And that just scares me. I remember when I look at Pickett, the thing I can remember from most of his career prior to last season is if you put the pressure on him, he will make mistakes.
Yeah.
He'll hold on to the ball and get sacked. He'll throw it up across his body, across the middle of the field, and get picked off. It's just ugly if you put pressure on him previously. So I'm going to go the other way. You can probably tell that by now. And I'm going to say I have seen Mike Tomlin at pro days, at the combine, any place you find at the Senior Bowl, any place you see Malik Willis working out this past off season. At one point in time or another, I've seen Mike Tomlin chatting with him alone on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say, to heck with it, pull the trigger. At pick number 20, Steelers are going to take Malik Willis, first quarterback in the draft, and they'll hope that Mitch Trubisky is a pleasant surprise for 1 year or maybe even 2, and then they can move on to Malik Willis, and that gives them a year, maybe more, to get him ready for the NFL.
Yep, 100%. Can't argue with that. I feel like Willis would fit in there quite well because in that division, you got to have a high upside quarterback. The quarterbacks you're going up against twice a year there, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson. That's an arms race, man. Mitchell Trubisky is not going to get you over the hump. But if you bring in Malik Willis and he hits his ceiling, they'll be right up there with them boys.
Yep. I think so.
Yes, indeed. Now the New England Patriots here at pick
Yeah, what are you gonna do
21.
for my Patriots, there, buddy?
Oh man, what does Bill do? Shoot, I don't know, man. I hate trying to mock for them because Bill never does. But
I
people are
know, I know.
thinking,
They'll trade out for an extra pick.
yeah, I was like, yeah, they
They'll
could
trade
trade
back.
out. They could trade. I just don't know of any like who. I mean,
Well,
Pittsburgh just took
well,
Willis.
somebody might want Pickett. Now that I've predicted, and I'm not the only guy by a long shot, Spencer, but a lot of people have predicted that once the first quarterback falls, then all of a sudden the people who realize the first one's gone don't want the second or third one to be gone before they get their chance to pick.
Mm.
So it might trigger a combination of trades and a run on the quarterbacks. So I'm not trying to talk you into this, but if you're Belichick, you might look at it and say, okay, if I can get somebody who's behind us to give us their first round pick and their number two, I'll trade this pick.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm on the phone right now if I'm Belichick, but I'm not really getting any offers I like enough to move back because to me, there's a guy that's sitting here that's too good to still be here, and the Patriots just lost their top corner this offseason, J.C. Jackson. So I tell you what, if I'm Bill, I'm gonna hang up the phone and go ahead and select Trent McDuffie from Washington
Okay.
to replenish
There
that
you go.
cornerback room.
Okay. I'm not. I've heard of crazier things than that, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good fit there, being that he's a solid, fundamentally sound corner, and if he's assuming he's a good scheme fit for over there, then I think they'll definitely go ahead and take him.
Yeah. Okay. No, I can buy that. I'll buy that one. Let's see now.
Your Packers up next at pick
Pick
22.
number 22 of my Packers. Okay, let's take a look at this. I don't think that they have overwhelming interest in Traylon Burks. I really don't.
Okay.
Not after they traded for Devontae Parker. It's the same player.
Well, he's with the Patriots, the Parker.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I got flopped up.
Oh,
I
good.
think that the Packers are looking now. Burks is the full size guy that they're after, but he's not the speed guy that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Traylon Burks is,
Yeah, that's his weakness.
Yeah, I had originally beginning of last week, I had Devontae Wyatt, the defensive tackle from Georgia, going to the Packers.
Yeah,
and
he's
very
still
happy
available.
about it. And now the stories are flying that he's got a list of domestic violence issues. Hasn't been to court yet, but sounds like we talked about this on Saturday with Billy.
Right. Yeah, he's dropping like a rock. Might fall out of the first round.
Yeah. So he's dropping on my list too.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to go with what might look like a reach, but I think this guy is climbing up. Has been climbing up since the Senior Bowl, and I've got him in my top 30. We're up to pick 21.
Yeah, 22.
I'm going to run it up. I'm taking Boye Mafe, the edge rusher, defensive end from Minnesota.
Ooh, okay,
from the
okay.
Packers.
No receiver for Mr. Rogers there.
Nope. Not yet.
He's probably thinking, these idiots, man, they never gonna draft me a receiver, but they still do have pick 28, so.
Yes, we still have one more in the first round here. But traditionally, the Packers would be picking somebody at the end of the second round.
Yep. But yeah, I feel like
Jordy
it's this
Nelson,
year.
Devontae Adams, keep going.
Right. Yeah,
but
this
anyway.
year it's such a need, and they've got 2 first rounders, but.
Yep. Well, I'm saying Mafe because he was unblockable at the Senior Bowl, including in the game. He got a sack and another pressure. his team, the American Team National, I like North and South better. I could keep track. They set a record for number of sacks in the Senior Bowl. They couldn't block him in the one-on-ones during practice week. He's got karate hands. He's just really coming up. And you got to remember, the Packers let Zadarius Smith go after his
Right,
back
right. Yeah, they
surgery
need
here.
pass rushing help.
And I also think, Spencer, that when it comes to next offseason, they just gave Preston Smith, the other Smith brother, and an edge rusher, a contract extension. I think they might walk from that contract next year.
True that. Yeah, you always gotta be thinking ahead. So yeah, like having Mafi there on that rookie deal would be big. And so here,
And yeah, and then next year they'd have Rashawn Gary and
right.
Boye Mafe as their two edge rushers.
Yep, that sounds good to me. So let's move on to the Cardinals, another team that could use edge rush and help. They also need receiver help too, with Hopkins getting older, AJ Green being a shell of himself. But I think they'll probably, like a lot of these teams, as much as they want a receiver, go ahead and wait till the day two, because to me their edge rushing needs really bad with Chandler Jones out the door over there. So let's go ahead and give them the boy from Purdue, George Karlaftis.
Okay, okay. George doesn't excite me, but as long as the fans will back off a little bit and understand that he's Ryan Kerrigan, not Chandler Jones, they'll probably be okay.
Yeah, yeah, and they have, they already got J.J. Watt. I know he's old, but like, with them together, I think they could kind of complement each other pretty well.
Right, right.
Yep. So yeah, Karlaftis there, pretty good value pick, I'd say. Doesn't have the upside of probably of Boyle Mafi, but probably a little bit safer, because Kerrigan was a rock solid starter there for a while.
Yep, yep, exactly. Yeah, Kerrigan wasn't terrible. He just wasn't, a big rush hour. In fact, I think, isn't he still a backup up with Buffalo?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I think he's a free agent, but yeah, I think
I
he's
think he
still
is too.
active.
Yeah, I think so. Well, sure he is, because when they signed Von Miller, they weren't going to pay Kerrigan to stick around.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so, Von Miller he's got a lot more juice left than Kerrigan.
Okay, so here we go.
Jerry World up next.
Hey, y'all, this is Jerry Jones. I'm going to pick somebody flashy. So what the heck? Actually, what they're doing now is somebody just walked Jerry Jones down to the men's room, and they accidentally locked the door. Okay? And Stephen Jones is going to make the pick and pick somebody that can actually do something for them, okay? Surprisingly, the Cowboys, between injury and free agency and all that other stuff, it happens. It doesn't take long to happen. Their offensive line is a shadow of what it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And it ain't flashy. And Treylon Burks is an Arkansas boy, and that's where Mr. Jones went to school, and his grandson is there as the third-string quarterback right now. But if they can get Jerry out of the room, and Steven and the scouts can make the pick, and I'm counting on that, the Dallas Cowboys select Kenyon Green, offensive guard from Texas A&M.
Yeah, they need guard help, man, because didn't one of those stud interior guys, Martin or Frederick, one of them retired, right?
Well, Travis Frederick, the center, retired.
Yeah, Frederick, okay.
And they tried to replace him with Tyler Biadasz from Wisconsin, and he's not terrible, but he ain't Travis Frederick.
Right.
And Lael Collins just left town.
Right,
Smith has got a bad back, and baby, I've had a bad back since my 30s, and they never go away and get better. So you look at that offensive line, and don't forget, the most penalized offensive lineman in the NFL, Connor Williams, was the left guard, and he left in free agency to go to the Dolphins.
Right.
So I say Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, and he's good enough, in my opinion, and he's got that big bubble butt like Larry Allen used to have. Remember him at offensive guard for the
Right,
Cowboys?
right. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. I'm pretty
He's
sure.
a Hall of Famer. Kenyon Green has the same kind of body, and he actually won the left tackle job for A&M. But he's so thick in the lower body, you can't play him outside, and they moved him back inside the guard. Kenyon Green, I think, starts for them as a rookie at left guard.
Yeah, yeah, I could see it for sure. Yeah, if Zion would fall, he'd be the pick. But yeah, I feel like Zion will probably be going before they go. So yeah, like you said, get Goofy Jerry out of the room. Green
Yep.
would probably be the BPA right there. But let's move on now to the Buffalo Bills at pick
There you
25.
go,
And
buddy. The
yeah, I
team
mean,
has got almost everything, and now they're picking from strength.
exactly. I nailed their pick last year. I remember I had them, they were picking down, I had them picking Gregory Rousseau, and that one
There you
turned out to
go.
be pretty good. So I'm going to have them go ahead and get another reinforcement for their defense. Their weakest link there, I'd say, is cornerback with
Yeah.
Tre'Davious White coming off injury and I think the other Levi Wallace, I think was his name. He left to go to Pittsburgh in the offseason. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a cornerback here, Mr. Andrew Booth from Clemson. He'd be a good, solid starter there with upside for more.
Yep, I think so. Because I think what's happened there is he got hurt, had to have the hernia surgery late in the year, and it's cost him. But there was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, Spencer. I remember it. Maybe before the hernia surgery, he was ahead of Elam. He was like the third or fourth cornerback on the board,
Yeah,
and now people are worried a little bit about the hernia because that can go one way or the other. So I like it. Good pick, buddy.
good deal.
Perfect for what they need.
Yep, yep. The Tennessee up next at pick 26.
Yeah, now this is always an interesting one, but you know what? I'm not sure I really believe this is what they're going to do, but these guys are hard to figure at times.
Yep.
They need a tight end really bad. Um, I think it's their top three tight ends, all were free agents at the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah. They brought in Austin Hooper.
Yep, and he ain't a starter. Okay, but but okay, but by the same token, the guy that I would in my head would give to them just because I think Vrabel thinks outside the box would be that Jelani Woods from Virginia, but it's a reach. He's 25 years old when the season starts, so I'm going to back up the train here, and I'm going to say since the Julio Jones thing didn't work out last year for them,
Yep.
it was clear what he was trying to get. I'm going to give him Treylon Burks, the big wide receiver who can get downfield.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And another point is with AJ Brown being a little disgruntled with his contract, you bring in Burks, and that gives you leverage.
A little bit, yeah, yeah. You cover your butt at least.
Yeah, if
So
AJ would pull a hissy fit like Debo and one out,
yeah,
then
yeah,
you got
exactly.
Traylon Burks.
Yep. So that's where I want him to go. I think, which means he won't. They're really tough to figure out what Robinson and Vrabel are going to do.
Yeah, that's that Patriot mold, coming from the Vrabel Belichick disciple. So yeah.
Yeah, and Robinson too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he also was in the Patriots organization. I'll tell you what, everybody raised the Patriots, and some of them just don't work out worth a darn, but some of them do.
Yeah, I feel like they're better served a lot of times to be like the front office kind of guys. Vrabel's worked
Mm-hmm.
out as a coach, but like a lot of the coaches have flopped, like Patricia and Joe Judge.
Patricia, and yeah, and now McDaniels gets his second chance
Yep, yep.
after But I'll tell you what. Quick comment: I love Mike Vrabel as a
Oh
coach.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
like him. He's he could coach my team any day, and I'd be happy. He just thinks outside the box, man.
yeah. He's got it. I mean, hell, when they lost Derrick Henry last year, they were just fine, and most teams would
Yeah,
have crumbled. being that Henry was such a big part of what they do, but they just kept on chugging, man. They're in good hands with Vrabel, that's for sure.
Yep. All right, buddy. Well, who are you gonna pick for the Tom Brady cruise ship
Oh
through the
Lord,
NFL?
Tampa Bay, blech, disgusting. Let's see what we gotta give them something. I mean, I just man, I don't. I'm
Yes,
gonna have
you
to look at
do.
my
Yes, you do.
yeah. I'm gonna have to look at my big board here because they don't. I mean, with Brady, I mean they brought back a bunch of people, so they don't really have any like
Not a lot of holes.
yeah, they don't
No.
really have any super obvious holes, But I think the spot that they could use reinforcement at is the interior of their offensive line. And so I'm going to go ahead and give them the boy from Iowa. They took a lineman from Iowa a couple years ago that's worked out, Tristan Wirfs. So I'm going to go ahead and give them Tyler Linderbaum.
You know what? That's good in more ways than one, in my opinion. Because what I think happens there is, unless somebody gets hurt, he may not see a whole lot of the field because Ryan Jensen came back. But Ryan Jensen is 30, will be 32 years old, and Ryan Jensen wasn't going to come back until Brady said, I'm in again.
Right.
He was a veteran free agent, and they expected to lose him. So a guy that's getting a little bit older, he's a little bit undersized, so, his body gets wear and tear playing center all the time. And he was ready to walk and try to get a little bit bigger contract. Even if Linderbaum doesn't help him this year, he'll start for them next year, in my opinion.
Yep, and can he play a little bit of guard if needed?
No, I don't think so. I think Linderbaum is a one-position guy because of his lack of size.
I got you. Well, then, yeah, Brady probably won't be too happy with this pick. But, hell, I mean, they can't cater to Brady totally because, I mean, he almost bailed on him. He had retired there for a so I think they're going to have to, they can't
it's
just.
It's a tightrope act, buddy.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like with Linderbaum, or maybe the other dude, he said if he gets a little tired playing center, Jensen, maybe he could play a little guard if needed.
They'll find a way, right?
Yeah, Brady will force one of them. Be like, look, you're playing guard, damn it. I want my 8th ring. He's such a kid, man, Brady. Gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. He's petulant.
Yep.
Not my favorite guy.
Yep.
I think we're back to my Packers again.
We sure are. What do they do here?
Okay. Well, actually, I've got two guys in mind here. And one of them is not a wide receiver.
Man, you're making A-Rod sweat.
With Devontae Wyatt having potential legal issues, plus the NFL, they're quick to suspend guys that are into domestic abuse. Travis Jones, the defensive tackle from UConn, is the perfect example of a really good football player in a crappy football program at UConn.
Yeah.
And he could really help the Packers' defensive line. He really could. But you know what? I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, Spencer, you got a drum roll sound effect for the first time. There you go. That's good enough. For the first time since 2002, when the Green Bay Packers selected Javon Walker from Florida State University, wide receiver.
Here it comes.
That's the last time they drafted a wide receiver in the first round. So 20 years ago.
Yeah. And 20 years later they select.
And Green Bay has got Pigskin, and if everybody relaxes, I really think they'll be happy with this long run. They select Christian Watson, wide receiver from North Dakota State.
Perfect fit, man. That would Rodgers would be smiling from ear to ear if that happens. I feel like he's.
Well, I think he would once they got to camp. I think he'd be pleased that they actually tried to do something. And then when they got to camp and they looked at him, Spencer, on that metric I was telling you about,
Oh
and
yeah, the
we'll talk
Raz
more about
system.
someday. Christian Watson, on a scale of 0 to 10, had a 9.96 RAS.
Wow, can't get a whole lot better.
At 6'4", 208 pounds, he ran a 4.3640 at the combine.
Jeez, yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
38
He's
and a
got
half
size
inch
and
vertical.
speed.
Yeah, 38 and a half inch vertical at 6'4". So
Yeah,
you think he might be able
physical
to win
freak.
some 50-50 balls for Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, Willie. That could.
So I'm saying go for it. I don't care if it's North Dakota State. Just go for it.
You have to, man. You got 2 firsts. You traded away franchise wide receiver and Adams. To me, you got no choice. You boxed your. To me, they boxed themselves into a corner. It's like if they don't take a receiver with one of these 2 picks, they're gonna come out looking the fool, in my opinion. To me, you have to do it.
They could. So I'm just so impressed with this particular player that I think they need to do it. They got a bunch of smaller receivers now.
Right.
Adams
Yeah, they
was
need
the
size.
biggest guy in their wide receiver group.
Yeah.
So stick around, folks. If we were doing a second round mock, if Jelani Woods was there at tight end, I'd take him for the Packers in the next round.
Yeah, man, that Jelani Woods is really interesting. He's went to Virginia. He was transferred to Virginia last year and had a big year. And yeah, he's got the size and physical ability to where he could end up being a game changer at tight end.
And he had a 10.0 RAS score. And for you podcast listeners, that is relative athletic score.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they just take numbers from the combine, from the pro days, nothing other than numbers on their workouts. And this is just to tell you how athletic they are. And Jelani Woods had a 10 out of 10. He is a 10.0 as a tight end, highest athletic score for a tight end in the 25 years they've been doing these RAS scores.
Wow, that speaks.
Getting ahead of myself. Just that's just a note for your podcast.
Yeah,
listeners.
I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, because we could do a day 2, but yeah, maybe later. Y'all stay tuned. But that would take a little longer there.
Right?
Yeah, we'd have to roll through that one rapid fire. But yeah, let's get this first round wrapped up here. We got 4 to go in the home stretch. We got the Chiefs' first pick, which was been traded twice. Originally was the 49ers, then Miami's. Now the Chiefs pick at 29 due to the Tyreek Hill trade. And so while they could use this pick to replace Hill, I don't think they will, being that they've already been 6 receivers picked here. So I'm going to go ahead and give them, looking at the board. Oh, yeah, the edge rusher. They need edge help pretty bad there. So I'm going to give them Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State.
Penn State guy, yeah. I don't have him quite this high, but I like him, and he's growing on me. With the right coaching, and that they don't have to force him in there right now. They can just give him reps on a rotating basis. He could be really good in a couple of years. Well, let me jump right on it then.
Yeah, go ahead and give them their next pick here at 30.
Next pick at number 30, I'm going to go to defense again.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? Tyrann Mathieu ain't walking into that KC locker room ever again.
Right.
Okay, and that's a big hole. Plus, remember, you guys stole their number 3 safety, Daniel Sorensen, as a veteran free agent.
Right. Yeah, he play special teams too. Yeah, I like that move.
Yeah, so they lost 2 out of their 3 top safeties, basically, barring a miracle with Mathieu. So I'm going to give them Lewis Seen, the safety from Georgia, at pick number 30.
All right. Yeah, I could see that, man. Yeah, Lewis Seen's a guy that's been rising up boards and has that Georgia pedigree. Is he more of a free safety or strong safety? I think he had mentioned it on the show the other day. I forgot.
Well, I honestly believe he could play either slash both
Yeah, yeah, he's
because
versatile.
he's a dynamic in the box
Yeah,
tackler.
that's kind of like Honey Badger Matthew. He could play both.
Yeah, but exactly. But I think he's got the athleticism that Matthew has, and he can also get after the ball in coverage. So I see him starting real soon in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And I'll keep the safety train going here at pick 31 in Cincinnati. They addressed their O line this offseason, but their secondary, not so much. I feel like they're going to address it in the draft and go with Mr. Daxton Hill from Michigan. Guy that could versatile, mainly played safety, but could also potentially play cornerback.
Yeah, you know what? I thought you might go there when you said, when you started talking about the secondary. I think that's a really good pick. He certainly is somewhere near the end of the first round quality. And we're, at pick 31. So we're there. And I also think since they've got their two starting safeties back for this year, maybe they try him first as a nickelback or a cornerback where they could use some help, in my opinion. Um, very good. Very good, Mr. Spencer. That's a smart pick.
Yeah, I think it'd be the perfect fit for what the Bengals need there. And he's probably one of the best players available as well. So
Yep.
I'm rooting for the Bengals, man. Like as far as the AFC, I can't really root for anyone in the NFC with my Saints. But I tell you what, out of the AFC, the Bengals and the Chargers, man. Hopefully Burrow and Herbert can win them a ring or two before it's all said and done.
Yeah, we'll see.
I know
We'll
those are
see.
some cursed franchises, but I tell you what, when you got franchise quarterbacks like the Herbert and Burrow, y'all better get the shit done. Because if y'all don't,
Yep.
then y'all
Yep.
never will probably. So
It
this is
never
y'all's
will happen.
window.
Yep.
Take advantage
Yep.
of it.
Yep. I think you're right on, Spencer. You're
Yep.
right on.
Yep. Take us home
Okay.
with pick 32, the Detroit Lions.
Lions. Yeah. Now, first of all, I think this could be a prime trade spot for the Lions to pick up an extra pick or two, because you still got four of the top five quarterbacks on the board. So
Mm-hmm.
anybody that needs a quarterback, the time is coming. I would be tempted to give one of the quarterbacks to the Lions.
Yeah, let's say
But
yeah they need one. Golf
yeah,
ain't
but you
it.
know what? The problem with Goff is, though, you're still tied into his contract.
Uh huh.
And if you try to move on from him, it's going to be very expensive in a lot of ways. Um, and he's not the worst quarterback. Um, and given that none of these four quarterbacks that are left, I don't see any of them as being Mahomes, Herbert, Josh Allen. Okay, at best they're Mac Jones
Yeah.
for what the Patriots got. Okay, and Mac Jones is going to be okay because the Patriots and Belichick will cover for him.
Yeah.
Okay, and they'll do what he do. So I'm just because we can't trade here, and just because I'm not convinced, and the Lions need so much. Daxton Hill would have been a great pick for them. You son of a gun, you.
Sniped.
Because their secondary is pretty weak. But I'm going to go with a guy that has been dropping, and I get part of it, and I think he was an idiot to refuse to work out for anybody. But Detroit certainly could use an active linebacker, and he may be a bit short, but this is today's NFL. I'm going to mock them, Nakobe Dean, the linebacker from Georgia.
Nakobe Dean. All right. Yeah, I think I've heard his name to Detroit before. I could maybe see it, because they have needs, especially on defense. They have way more needs on defense than offense.
Yes.
So yeah.
And that's why I said you skunked me when you took Hill, because he would have been perfect for the Lions with their not very good secondary. They could have tried him at every spot back there and just stuck him where he was the best. But they'll have to get their defensive back later. I'm giving them to Kobe Dean.
Yep, yeah, and they could very well get it here looking at the big board. If they pick in at 34, shoot Kyler Gordon, the other Washington cornerback, still there, as well as the versatile guy from Tennessee, Alontae Taylor.
Yeah. No, they can take care of it. They pick first in every, they're first in every round. They're really bad.
yeah, for real. Yeah, they'll have time. Yeah, that's the point of the draft. So, it can help out the teams that are bad. Although it seems like they usually don't take advantage of that because it tends to be the same guys, same organizations drafting near the top every year.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yep. But anyway, looking at the big board here, some notable names that didn't make the cut here in round one. Kenny Pickett, probably the biggest surprise. I would have thought one of us would have had him going in round one, but considering his upside is not really there, I could very well see him slipping pretty far. Someone will probably trade up into the back half of the first to get him, being that he had that huge senior year, but I just, not too big on him. The one that's rising, though, that could maybe sneak in there is Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati. Yep. He's got more of a ceiling, I'd say. But, I'd say those would be the only other two outside of Willis because Corral's stock is plummeted and Howell is just a clear-cut day two type quarterback.
Yep, absolutely. Although I'm going to tell you, with the right team, I think Sam Howell could be okay.
Yeah, he could be probably just as good as Pickett.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then, the running backs, no running backs go, although Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker do have upside to potentially getting in that first round. Probably not, though. The receivers, we had 6 receivers go in round one.
That ties the record, by the way.
Yep. The ones that some people have going in there that missed the cut, Jahan Dotson from Penn State, as well as George Pickens from Georgia. Receivers didn't have anybody make the cut, although Jelani Woods from Virginia stock is on the rise, as well as Greg Dulcich from UCLA. Offensive tackles, Bernard Raymond and Tyler Smith both missed the cut. Their stocks have been rising, but probably more suited for day two. Interior, the 3 round one projected guys went off the board. In our mock defensive ends, 7 went, or slash edge, Jermaine Johnson and Arnold Ebiketie, more probably outside linebacker types, but could play. I have them listed as defensive end for this sake of the list. The one that's interesting that didn't make the cut was David Ajabo from Michigan, coming off an Achilles.
The Achilles. It's the injury, Spencer. Yep. No doubt about it. I mean, that's why we'll see who's got the courage in round 2 and how soon to take Ajabo.
Right. Yeah, could be a big payoff if he's healthy. Defensive tackles, only 1 went. Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt falls out due to the legal concerns, and Travis Jones, while he has a lot of upside, didn't quite make the cut, probably due to being on, with the UConn. It's hard to gauge how good he really is.
He'll go early round 2.
Yep. And then linebackers here, the 2 first-round projected guys both went, Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean. The cornerbacks, 5 went, Sauce, Stingley, McDuffie, Booth, and Elam. With Kyler Gordon just missing the cut there. And then the safeties, the 3 that probably will go in the first, did in our mock: Hamilton, Dax Hill, and Lewis Seen.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And that'll about do it here. We'll recap the first round here before we sign off. Pick 1 to the Jaguars, Aiden Hutchinson. Defensive end, Michigan. Pick 2 to the Lions, Trayvon Walker. Defensive end, Georgia. Pick 3 to the Texans, Evan Neal. Offensive tackle, Alabama. Pick 4 to the Jets, Kayvon Thibodeau. Defensive end, Oregon. Pick 5 to the Giants, Ike Ekwonu. Offensive tackle, NC State. Pick 6 to Carolina, Sauce Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati. Pick 7 to the Giants, Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame. Pick 8 to the Falcons, Jermaine Johnson, defensive end / outside linebacker from Florida State. Pick 9 to the Seahawks, Charles Cross, offensive tackle from Mississippi State. Pick 10 to the Jets, Jamison Williams, wideout from Alabama. Pick 11 to the Commanders, Drake London, wide receiver from USC. Pick 12 to the Vikings, Devin Lloyd, linebacker from Utah. Pick 13 to the Texans, Derek Stingley, cornerback from LSU. Pick 14 to the Ravens, Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia. Pick 15 to the Eagles, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver from Ohio State. Pick 16 to the Saints, Trevor Penning, offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. Second half of the first here. Chargers at 17, Zion Johnson, guard from BC. 18 to the Eagles, Kyer Elam, corner from Florida. 19 to the Saints, Chris Olave, receiver from the Ohio State. 20 to Pittsburgh, Malik Willis, quarterback, Liberty. 21 to the Pats, Trent McDuffie, corner from Washington. 22 to Green Bay, Boya Mafe, defensive end, Minnesota. 23 to the Cards, George Karlaftis, DN from Purdue. 24 to the Dallas, Kenyon Green, guard from A&M. 25 to the Bills, Andrew Booth, corner from Clemson. 26 to the Titans, Trey Burks, receiver from Arkansas. 27 to the Bucks, Tyler Linderbaum, center from Iowa. 28 to the Packers, Christian Watson, receiver from North Dakota State. 29 to the Chiefs, Arnold Ebiketie, edge from Penn State. 30 also to the Chiefs, Lewis Seen, safety from Georgia. 31 to the Bengals, Dax Hill, safety from Michigan. And our last pick of the first, 32 to the Lions, and the Kobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia.
And may I add one more stat to that?
Sure thing.
Spencer, and that is, I've had people over the years ask me, what's the value of the Senior Bowl? And about every year, this kind of happens. I just went through our picks here. 9 of our first rounders were at the Senior Bowl this year. And remember, they can't have underclassmen there.
Mm-hmm.
So, half of the first round was underclassmen. So that means out of 16 picks, 9 were at the Senior Bowl this year.
Yep, and that's not even counting Kenny Pickett, who most likely will be a first rounder.
Hey, we did the mock last week, and we came up with 11 Senior Bowl guys in the first round.
Yep.
So that's the value, and we'll get to the end of the draft, and there were 130-something guys at the Senior Bowl this year, and I will bet you there will be right around 100 of them will get drafted.
Right on. Shoot, I'll have to make the trek out to the Senior Bowl one of these years. That's not too far from me. That's in Alabama.
No, it's close for you.
Yeah, Mobile. Yeah, that's like a 4 or 5 hour drive, I think. That ain't bad.
Yeah. No. For me, it's just under 500 miles from Central Florida. So it's
kind of like in the middle of us. I'm out in Lafayette, Louisiana. You're out in the Central Florida, so.
Yeah. But yeah, you should. Spencer the Guru should be representing,
the Guru Nation.
Whatever. And we know Billy isn't gonna, he's moving the other direction. So
right.
Or what the heck? You go down, pick up the old man, and bring him with you.
Man, might have to. Well, anyway, we're gonna put a bow on this episode. Appreciate Pigskin for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Spencer. I appreciate it. So now we got a tradition because we did a second year in a row, right?
Yes. It went really well last year. I had to run it back. Make sure to go check out Pigskin's work over at the Great Blue North Draft Report as a gbnreport.com, correct?
There you go. Yeah, we make it easy to get to website-wise. You just put GBN.
Right on.
Report.com, and you're there. And it's free. Make sure they know it's free.
Right. Yep. It's free and informative. It's not just your typical BS free site. They give you legit info on there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We try. We're the old guy draft. We're the old guy draft website.
Oh yeah. Learn from the OGs. The
publisher and the owner and I are both 72 years old. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always enjoy picking y'all's brains because y'all been around the block a time or two. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again for having me, Spencer. I appreciate it, and probably talk to you next Saturday about what the Saints did on Saturday morning with Billy.
Right, right. Yep, yep. Y'all know where to find me at. At Spencer the Guru on all platforms, and also, yeah, on the radio, the Sports Note every Saturday morning with Billy Rickman and our panel of guests, one of which is Mr. Pigskin Paul. So, with that, we'll close this one out. Appreciate everyone that tuned in. We out of here. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.